Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you're watching this. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. All right, so we have a lot of information to cover. Let's start with this definition of terrorism: using violence or the threat of violence against civilians to achieve some political goal. We can all agree what happened to Charlie Kirk was an act of terrorism. It was also an assassination of not just a person, but of an idea of the freedom of speech, the right to share your ideas with other people, especially people who don't agree with you. I've got a video that I'm going to show you guys from a university, Penn State University, of a sociologist discussing this very topic with his students the day after, on September 11th, that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And I want you to hear what these kids say. But first, we have to talk about the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. This is the act that Barack Obama redid. He basically amended the United States Information and Educational Exchange Act of 1948 to authorize the Secretary of State and the Broadcasting Board of Governors to provide for the preparation and dissemination of information intended for foreign audiences abroad inside the U.S. Now, here's the thing. That information that could be disseminated would intended for foreign audience abroad about the United States, including about our people, our history, and the federal government's policies through press, publication, radio, motion pictures, internet, and other information media, including social media, and through the information centers and instructors. Under current law, such authority is restricted to information disseminated abroad with a limited domestic exception. In other words, universities would now become propaganda machines. Now, your media, beginning in 2012, we saw a radicalization, we saw a demonization of conservatives through liberal controlled media. They could say whatever they wanted, even if there was no proof. They did not have to go back and correct themselves. There were no penalties, no punishments. The federal law gave them complete and utter permission to disseminate information. There is a movement going on. It is people across the United States are asking President Trump to reinstate the Smith-Mundt Act and rename it the Charlie Kirk Act. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to get into that. By the way, YouTube doesn't pay me. Why? Because they are a private entity, a private corporation, and they think my content is harmful. But if you appreciate honest, God-fearing content, please look at the top of comments, donate whatever you would like. If you put your email, we will send you the monthly newsletter and invite you to Zooms. So Barack Obama, this is what he did when he repealed the Smith-Mundt Act. Infiltrate and co-opt the universities, the unions, the media, the politicians, the judges. It allowed foreign policy establishments, fund groups that effectively work with prosecutors domestically or that work at media to give them grants to do media propaganda abroad, but they operate here, or social media censorship to coerce foreign countries to pass foreign censorship laws that explicitly and are intended to attack U.S. social media companies and in U.S. peer-to-peer speech. This is what I was telling you guys about Candace Owens. I believe that she is working basically with the French government to attack United States freedom of speech across social media. Because don't forget, Candace Owens was behind something called social autopsy in like 2016, 2017. It was to dox people she did not agree with. What are we seeing today? Now, conservatives have created a website to dox liberals that they don't agree with. This Frankensteinian monster that they have created by authorizing a covert permanent department of dirty tricks. And this is their phrase, not ours, to do this cloak and dagger to infiltrate and co-opt the universities. the unions, the media, the politicians, the judges, the whole swarm army. You know what I have been calling for a long time? The USAID Truman Show. Guys, the Smith-Mundt Act was always designed to say, listen, you can do this dirty stuff abroad, but it can't be done here on United States soil. We've always had that protection. It lasted for 70 years until Barack Obama became president. Every person in America, every one of you, I need you to forward this video. I don't care if you don't like me. I'm okay with that. But I need you to make sure that this video gets into all of your elected politicians' hands. We should all be on this together, okay? Let me pull it up. Reinstate the Smith-Mundt Act and rename it the Charlie Kirk Act. The murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk and the arrest of his alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, erupted on the internet with a demand that is quickly gaining attention. The demand to reinstate the Smith-Mundt Act, a Cold War era law, this time under a new name, the Charlie Kirk Act. Listen to this young woman. All is not lost. There are young people in our country that understand what's going on.
Alrighty, this message is for President Trump and his administration. If you stay to watch the video, please tag him down below, share, and repost so we can try to get this to him as quickly as possible and hope that he can do something with this. President Trump, as a supporter who voted for you 3 times, I am hoping and praying that you will revisit what Barack Obama and Joe Biden got rid of back in 2013, which is the Smith-Mundt Act, which held news corporations accountable for lying to the American people and spreading propaganda instead of truth. I think instead of bringing it back as a Smith-Mundt Act, you name it the Charlie Kirk Act, you make it a law, and you make it damn near impossible for these people to continue to lie to the American public, which has brought chaos, hatred, division, and anarchy all across this country. Fines out the ass, which will damn near bankrupt their companies should they lie to the American people ever again. They can have their opinions, that's fine. They need to state that it is their opinion and that it is not a fact. Because of their constant lies, a man lost his life over it. Because of the constant hateful rhetoric of calling him a fascist and a Nazi and a white supremacist and a bigot, the same thing that they called you, this man is dead. I think this would be a great legacy for him to have a law named after him to force journalists to finally start telling the truth and having the integrity that they have lacked for over a decade. I hope that this gets to you. I hope that you think about it and that you pass it into law. Because we are on a dangerous path right now with the constant lies and the propaganda. And that doesn't end just at news journalists. It needs to go to content creators who consistently spread lies and propaganda and half-truths across the internet.
Okay, so I agree and disagree. I'd like to know what you guys think about what she just said about content creators. I do agree in one way because I did a whole post in, the group thing the other day. I told you guys, content creators are paid by how many people watch, how many people engage, how many people share. So they don't care if what they're saying is true or not. It's how sensational it is.
This needs to end. And people need to start being held accountable for baseless claims over absolute abysmal things. It needs to end. So please, if you have it in your heart to have the time to do this, get this in front of Congress, get this passed as a law, and start holding these news corporations, be they right, left, or center, accountable for their behavior. Thank you.
What do you guys think? What do y'all think? Because let me show you what all this will be in description of the video. Everything I talk about, I always put in the description of the video because I'm an educator and it matters to me about the truth. It matters to me that you guys hear the truth and that then you can go research it yourself. So, listen to this.
Just because we live in a world where retaliation is such a common thing on both sides in any issue, and with Charlie being such a high profile I mean, he raised millions of dollars for the right-wing party, endorsed candidates. I just feel like it opens the door for someone else who feels passionate to do it to a leader on the left.
Mm-hmm. So what does retaliation look like when you say that? What?
I could see, like, okay, for example, because I was just having a conversation with friends about this. Kamala Harris is going on a book tour. And I believe President Trump got rid of her, I think it's called like presidential security or whatever that she had.
I don't know if that's true. Normally I don't pause right here, but let me see if that is true. Because I don't think he can do that. I think like Nancy Pelosi, he pulled it from. No, it says here, it says he canceled former Vice President Kamala Harris' Secret Service details 7 months after she left office following her unsuccessful presidential campaign. It says by law. So it's really not that President Trump canceled. By law, she's only allowed 6 months. That's all the Secret Service covers her and her family. The term, however, can be extended, which former President Joe Biden reportedly did before leaving office. And then I know that like Los Angeles Police Department provided protection for a while for her. Because she's a multimillionaire. She can provide her own protection, just like Charlie Kirk.
What if she has one in Philadelphia coming up in a couple weeks? What if she goes to that and someone wants to retaliate and says, I'm going to go to Kamala Harris' book tour and do what they did to Charlie?
Mm-hmm. Hey, by the way, I like that you said some of us, not them, it's some of us, right? That's, yeah. How about somebody else? Like, what are you most afraid might happen?
I think, our guns getting, the laws changing. The laws have changed in Massachusetts already. You can't even have a Glock anymore. That's just a handgun. It's not an AK-47 or an AR-15. It's a handgun.
Well, so you're afraid, actually, of clamping down on the Second Amendment.
Yeah, because guns don't kill people. Cars don't drive drunk. Spoons don't make people fat. People kill people.
Mm-hmm.
People.
So I just wanted to show you a couple of these kids are not lost. This is why Charlie Kirk fought so hard for them. Now I want to show you, where's it at? It's this one young girl in the audience.
For all four of you, whoever wants to take it. Do you guys how often do you think about us spiraling into some kind of civil war? Like really, like the violence just grows and grows and grows, and it gets to this kind of, oh my God, we're here, man. I
would say often.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is, this is only one example of an assassination. There's many, and there's been many school shootings. We've normalized school shootings to the point, they happen every week, every month. At beginning of the school year, down at UMass, or up at UMass, Georgia last year, it happens all the time, and it's just normalized.
Okay, but now go to Civil War level.
But yeah, that's what I was going to get to. We've cut a lot of funding for mental health, but mental health can only make people more crazy. And if someone says tomorrow that we want to have a civil war, and they start, bashing sides, or someone goes attacks the White House, like that happened on January 2nd? What day was it? 6th. 6th. Sorry, I was going to say 7th.
Bro, I want to tell you something. All those a lot of those Second Amendment people, friends that you just...
Yeah, I didn't support that event at all.
You just lost half of them.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
That's really too bad. Because that should never happen. That's a government building.
I got you, man. I'm just letting you know
that
your friends are coming and going.
I think that could have really started one.
All right, hang on one sec. All right. do you think about, you live in the Middle East, this place where we talk about, if the Middle East is a big place, you don't have a civil war, it's not happening in Saudi, it's not.
Here she is. This little girl asked a good question.
No?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of the fact that in past terrorism results, our nation has come together, and this has separated us even more. And I think that's really terrifying.
Wait, can you say that? First off, what's your name?
My name's Natalie.
Natalie?
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
With past terrorist events, our nation has kind of come together and united against it.
Yeah.
And yesterday there was a division.
Yeah.
And people are taking sides.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's no sense of a common goal. Instead,
Yeah.
It's separated into a few prominent ones.
Yeah. Right. So that's when, for example, in 9/11, when 9/11 happened, everybody was just, black people, when you, on the day after, we were having dialogues, conversations, at Whirling Conversation, right? And everybody, not just black people, everybody who feels like, oh, I'm not an American, and, one of the things, like, this country never really accepted me, or whatever, a lot of Latinos, a lot of black people. Everybody was an American then, man. There was no, and you know who the most, just out of an interesting thing, because you wouldn't know this, but I can tell you this, the most anti-Muslim, pro-American, prejudice, hate, I'm going to use the word hate, but with a small h, people in our groups were African Americans. And I'm like, dude, what? And to my wife and I, to this day, we look back at that and damn, what the hell happened? Then this outside enemy came, and you're like, boom, Anyway, bro, are you responding to this question? About what you're afraid of?
To Natalie. I was gonna respond to Natalie. I kind of disagree about how 9/11 united us, considering that it was a deliberate attack.
And then, it just goes back and forth. But I wanted to share that. This professor is making these kids really answer and ask these hard questions. All right. So next thing I needed to show you guys real quick. This is how the left is presenting you and I. This is why I keep saying we cannot keep going down this road of being angry and behaving like the left. On the killing of Charlie Kirk, political violence, and the right's response. Okay. It goes on to say here, Charlie Kirk, a powerful right-wing activist, popular podcaster, close friend, and ally to President Trump, was shot and killed while speaking at a college in Utah on Wednesday. Politicians of both parties and commentators across the spectrum, including myself, have responded with condemnation of the act as both the tragic murder of a young husband and father and an act of political violence that must not be allowed, okay? Rational people on all sides of the political spectrum abhor political violence and want to ratchet down the temperature. Okay, so critical thinking people who are empathy-based, people who care about their mental health, we're trying to push it down. We're like, guys, take a deep breath. Get off the internet. Stop engaging with these people. But then you've got a core group of people within the right that are pushing the fire up. And we're going to discuss that. But this requires an honest assessment of what is happening. There have been far too many cases of political violence in recent years, and the targets are not limited by party, ideology, or creed. I would disagree with that. This is a left-leaning paper, so they're going to try to, make us look like we're off our minds. Yet within the right-wing media bubble, long before there was even a suspect in custody, commentators cited Kirk's killing as proof that the left is at war with them. Senator Thomas Tillis, Republican of North Carolina, called out right-wing pundits who took Kirk's death as an opportunity to say we're at war so that they could get some of our conservative followers lathered up over this. He added, it seems like a cheap, disgusting, awful way to pretend like you're a leader of a conservative movement. Tilla cited two commentators in particular, where their rhetoric had a staple throughout the right-wing media ecosystem. One being Jesse Waters with They're at War with Us. And the other is, and he also went, Jesse Waters also went to say whether we want to accept it or not, they're at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? And that's a question we're going to have to ask ourselves. This is war, Libs of TikTok. Civil war was Andrew Tate's take. This is war. Ian Miles, however. This is a war, this is a war, this is a war. Alex Jones said on his live stream. According to Steve Bannon, we're at war in this country. We're not supposed to say this, posted Sean McGuire, but the truth is we're at war. Many on the right were Kirk's friends and are mourning his death. Some of them fear for their own safety. But the narrative they have constructed relies on ignoring the recent spat of attacks targeting Democrats. Okay, so let's talk about that. There were some murders, up there with Tampon Tim, Kamala Harris's VP pick. Democrat leaders were killed. And who did it? Democrats. So, guys, it's bad. It's bad, okay? And then there's this. And I want you guys to watch this. I want you to understand how bad it is right now with the AI fakes. I know a lot of people keep saying, Sam, have you seen the video of the ring moving from this finger to this finger? Sam, have you seen the video? The bullet didn't strike him here, it struck him there. Like AI fakes. Watch this.
Photos we're going to show you in this story are real. Some of them are fake. But the phrase you are not going to hear me say is enhanced. That's because AI does not enhance photos. Instead, it basically uses its memory to make stuff up. So let's start with the real photos released today by the FBI. And we totally understand these are blurry, but at the very least, we do know these are real photos taken from a surveillance camera at Utah Valley University in Orem. But later in the day, the Washington County Sheriff's Office, all the way down in Hurricane, made this post, quote, much clearer image of the suspect compared to others we have seen in the media. Well, the reason it's so much clearer is because it's fake. And you could tell it's fake if you look closely first at the shirt. It used to be some sort of logo showing an American flag. Now it's distorted. And if you move to the left hand, for some reason the AI decided to generate a watch, which is not seen on any of the actual FBI photos. Now, the sheriff later added a disclaimer to the post saying it is AI, but said he did not want to take it down.
In a case like this, I think they probably have an obligation to delete that.
That's Jim Bierman. He's a former police chief and current president of the Future Policing Institute.
Unless it's coming from a trusted source, you literally cannot trust anything you see anymore. You are hampering the criminal investigation, even though that may not be your intent, because now people are looking at somebody other than who the suspect is.
Now, these next two photos both have a Fox 13 watermark in the upper corner, even though neither of them were created or distributed by Fox 13 News. You can tell this one's fake if you zoom into his shoes. Now, the fake one is a lot less blurry, but you can see black shoes with black laces in this photo. On the real photo, it seems to be black shoes, possibly with white laces, but again, it is a little bit blurry. This next one, at the very least, the poster put in their caption, here's an AI cleanup of the image, but I want to reiterate, AI does not clean up images, it generates images, and some people aren't always going to read that caption before they download it and share it. For this one, the AI decided to randomly give him, looks like Converse. But more importantly, if you look at the face on all four images, these are four totally completely different people. Some of them are young, some of them are older. We have no way of knowing if any of them are accurate.
You saw how all four of their faces were different, folks. Look at this. That's huge difference. Look at them. These are three different men, different chins, different nose lines. All of them are in different types of glasses, different skin tones, neck sizes. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Listen, when all this happened, I was so angry because even today, just trying to be a voice of reason for people, just telling people to tap it down a bit. You don't need to be the thought police. Like, you don't. Do you not have a family? Something productive to be doing? Just telling people that. I got emails and text messages. Wow, that's a bit stalkerish. Seriously. I make videos. I give you the choice to watch or not watch, subscribe or not subscribe, row in my boat or don't. It's up to you. But to reach out to me personally and push your agenda because I disagreed with you online or I said something you didn't like. And you're supposed to be conservative Christians. So I can imagine what some of these conservative Christians are saying to the left. And I'm hearing a lot of people screaming, we're at war. No, we're not. No, we're not. But could we be? Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we do, it's going to be as much the right's problem as the left's. And again, I don't care who that upsets. The truth has to be spoken. Somebody has to be an adult on the internet. You cannot just watch people you 100% agree with. That is so like mind blowing. And if you watch the entirety of that video I did with that college professor, he literally says it. That is the point. He said, when people would protest Charlie Kirk at Penn State, I would point blank ask them, why are you protesting? What are you protesting? I don't like his ideas. I don't like what he says. Then debate him. But don't try to shut him up. I'm just saying, folks. I mean, somebody has to be a voice of reason. Because you can watch 1,000 channels telling you to be pissed off, angry, go get your weapons, get ready. They're coming for you. Just read your Bible, take a deep breath, let God do something. If the Smith-Mundt Act gets put back into play, you're going to see things change drastically. So there's something you can do with your energy. Help get this video out. And please consider rowing in our boat. Stephen's surgery was moved back to October 14th, but we are going to miss several weeks of work. And no, he doesn't have sick days anymore. Love you guys so much. Be blessed out there.